In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to write with and use your Cricut markers and pens. And I'm also going to show you how to determine what font is best for your next project. If you're new here, my name is Nisha. Welcome to Little Craft Nest. If you're interested in crafting and Cricut tutorials, please consider pressing that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Let's head over to Design Space and open our project. Here's a card I made in the last video. Today we are not focusing on the card itself, but the text inside the card. So I'm just going to hide my pink layers here by going over to the right panel and pressing the I, because we're not going to be needing those today. If you missed my last video on how to make this card, I'll leave a link for that below in the description. Now I'm working with a white card here, so I'm just going to change the background color so we can see it a little better. So if you go down to the bottom right corner and click on blank canvas, then go to the top where it says color, click on that white square, and then choose any color background you want. And then I also just want to remove my grid lines, so go in between the two rulers and click that box and our grid lines are gone. And we're going to zoom in here so you can see better as well. So here is the canvas we are using, and I'm just going to insert some text. So I'm going to type congratulations on your wedding. And let's size this down a little bit so it fits on our card. And let's align and center. That way our words are center. So what you're looking at right now would be the inside of our card when you open up the card. So our text would be on the right hand side. Now, if we were to go and make this, all these letters would cut out, but we want our markers to write out the words congratulations on your wedding. So we need to click on our text, and we're going to go to the top where it says operations, and then we can click on pen. And now we have pen lines, and you'll notice our pen will be tracing the outside of our letters. So the inside of our letters are actually not going to be filled in. So in some instances, you may want this and it might look kind of cool. It's also a great way to get your kids involved in the craft, and you can have them color each letter just like a coloring book after you had your Cricut pens trace each letter. But if you want this to look more like someone wrote this with their hand, we have to change the style of this. So if we go over to the top where it says style, right now it says regular, we're going to click on that arrow and we're going to select writing. And now you'll notice we have a single line. So our maker will use our pens to write out each letter as if you wrote it freehand. I don't know about you, but my writing's not that neat. So it's so fun to use your Cricut for writing out card messages because you can trick everyone into thinking you have great handwriting. Now, this operation cannot be used with every single font. So for example, let's duplicate our text here. I'm going to go to the top right and press duplicate, and we are going to change the font. So let's go over to fonts and press system, and I'm just going to select Arial Black, which is a very similar font to the font we used up here, except for this one is not a Cricut font. So let's size this down because our text is way too big here. So now if we go to the top to operation and we press pen, we do get the outline of our letters. But if we go over to style and press regular, you will see we do not have a writing option for this font. So to find fonts that do the single line writing like we have at the top here, you are going to click on fonts, and then we are going to press all here. And if you go over to filters on the far right, we can select writing. And these are all the fonts here that would have the writing option. However, all these fonts you do have to pay for unless you do have Cricut Access, then they're included in your membership. The only free writing font that Cricut has is the one we just used up here, and that's our Cricut Sans text. So what do you do if you don't have Cricut Access and you don't want to spend money on more fonts? Well, I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to duplicate our text again, and we are going to choose another font. So let's go back up here and we're going to try to choose a really skinny font this time. So I'm going to go over to System and look for one that I have downloaded to Cricut Design Space. If you don't know how to upload new fonts to Cricut Design Space, check out my video on that. I'll leave a link down below in the description so you know how to add additional fonts to your library on Cricut. So first I have to get rid of my filters here. So I'm going to unclick writing and then the search. I'm going to type in skinny, and I have one here called skinny jeans, and it went really small, so let's make this big. So right now this is still on basic cut, so let's change this to pen. And if you look very closely, it did outline our letters. However, this font is so skinny that if you were to use a marker or a gel pen, it would automatically fill in the inside of this font and it would look like a single line. So right now we have our pen selected and the pen we have is black, 0.4 millimeters. So we can try to do that. If we duplicate this text again, and let's change our pen here. So I'm going to click on our black square. Let's select a 1 millimeter marker and let's do that in gold. So now when we get our Cricut machine to write out this text, it will just naturally fill in because our 1 millimeter markers or gel pens, the lines will overlap and it won't look like two different lines. It'll just look like a single line. So we're going to test this out in a few minutes so I can show you the difference of using our 0.4 millimeter black pen versus using a marker. And so we can see the difference there. And for the fun of it, let's try another font as well. Let's duplicate this again. And this time, let's do the font Little Sunshine. And then we also have to go to the top. Let's change that to a pen. And as you see under style, we cannot change that into a writing font, but this is a nice skinny font. So let's see how this works with a pen, and then let's duplicate this again and let's check out how this will work with a gel pen as well. So let's go back to the top and let's change this one to a 1 millimeter gel pen, and let's do that in a green. Now this is only a test card. I'm not actually making a card here. I showed you how to use our scoring tool in the last video, so if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check that out. The link will be down below in the description. So I'm just going to hide the scoring line though right now, and we're just going to test these fonts out on a piece of paper. But before we do that, we want to attach all these fonts to our card. So I'm just going to select everything here and go to the bottom right and press attach. Let's go ahead and press make it. I'm just going to be using some printer paper for this demonstration, and I'm going to be placing that on my light grip mat, which is the blue mat. Let's press continue. We're just going to select copy paper, and we're told here to load our 0.4 pen and also our fine point blade. Before I do that, I just like to test my markers on a piece of paper just to make sure the ink hasn't dried up and my marker is good to go. And you're going to slide it into clamp A and give it a little push, and you'll notice that little triangle on your marker disappears. And you'll also notice on the screen it will say coming up and what other pens we are using. We have our gold pen and our green one coming up, and Design Space will prompt us when to switch out our markers. And here's all our words written out with our pens. Some of you may have caught on that I totally forgot the R in the word your, but that's okay. This is just our practice sheet. So if I was going to do this again on the card, I'd fix my spelling mistakes and decide which text I like the best. So here is our Cricut Sans writing font, and it looks really good. There's only one line for each letter. It's not outlined, and it looks like someone could have just wrote that themselves if they had very neat handwriting. And then there's this font here where each letter is outlined, and it looks like it could be used for like a coloring book shirt, or you can get your kids, have them color in each letter, or you can do that and you can be creative with that. Now here is a thinner font I did, and this was done with the black pen. And you can see that this font was outlined. In some of the places the pen did go over itself, so it looks solid, but there are a few little white pieces, so you could just go back with your pen and freehand those little pieces to make it look solid, or this actually kind of gives it a neat effect as well. Now we did the same font over here, but this time we used the gold marker, and there are absolutely no white spots here. So it looks like a nice solid font. And then we got our two other fonts here. This one was done with the black pen, and this was done with the gel pen. Now both of them, you can still see some white spots in the words. Our black pen, you can see a few more white spots than with the gel pen. The gel pen covered up a little more. So we can see here that if you use a skinnier font with a fatter tip like the marker, you are going to get a nice solid line. So depending on what you're going for, you can just test out the different fonts that you have and see what will work best for your project. Let me know in the comments below if you have a favorite text that you use with your writing pens. And also let me know which one you like on our sample the best. Personally, I love the look of this gold marker, and I think it would look really good on some black cardstock. So I might test that out later. I hope you enjoyed today's Cricut pen demonstration. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave your questions in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer your comments. In our next video, I will be doing my first unboxing, and I have a special guest joining me, so you don't want to miss that. So don't forget to press that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you won't miss that. If you're still watching, press that like button, and I hope to see you on more crafting adventures.